Hi everyone, Vicki Olorcia here with a new 5-minute mental health moment. So the topic that I'm going to discuss today is anger, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so many of us probably know what anger is, right? We know what it looks like, we have our way of defining it. But from a therapist perspective, we recognize that anger is the emotion that's on the surface level. So, in order to address anger, you have to look at the emotion or the issue that's going on underneath. There's usually some level of pain there. This is the visual that I often share with my clients, showing that anger is at the tip of the iceberg. That's on the surface, that's what we see. But then when you go underneath, there's all these other really hurtful emotions that come up. So feeling insecure, overwhelmed, regret, guilty, powerless, lonely. It goes on and on. And so it's important, one, if we see anger in ourselves, we can kind of explore it a little bit further and identify what is the emotion underneath that we are struggling with. And when we see anger in someone else, we can also do the same thing. One thing that I think often happens is that when we see anger in someone else, it's very easy for us to respond to their anger with our own anger. You know, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? Why are you doing this? And we're responding that way because we're defending ourselves, and we also don't understand what's happening. So it's just another little example. You know, I get angry because I'm overwhelmed by my responsibilities. I get angry because I'm terrified that I'm not doing this right. I get angry because I feel out of control. I get angry because I feel alone and unsupported. This overwhelm, worry, self-doubt, and loneliness is what needs to be addressed. The anger doesn't need to be ashamed or shamed in that individual. So understanding where it's coming from. This is an example of how we can see it in children. So if you have children at home right now or know someone who has children and anger is what's being presented, a lot of times it might be anxiety underneath. And so this is just describing that if it is in fact anxiety, you might be seeing the anger, but it's actually anxiety underneath and some of the other behaviors that you might be seeing. You could also see these behaviors in adults as well, but this particular slide is just about kids. So also, of course, when anger comes up, I mean, we all feel angry. It means we're human. We all have emotions. Some of those emotions are not always pretty. It's important to know, of course, that if anger is causing, you know, damage or hurt towards someone, that's never okay. So understanding the emotion doesn't justify poor behaviors that are being done through the anger. This is a way that you can kind of rate where the issue is at. So this is, again, more so probably designed for a child, but honestly an adult can use it too. So when we're in a situation, it might feel so overwhelming that we can't really see the whole picture or see the answer. And we might even, you know, be making, what's the expression, a mountain out of a molehill. You know, so to be able to take a step back and calm ourselves down, take those deep breaths or count to 10 or step outside or whatever you need to do just to calm yourself down, then you can go back to the situation and look at it either for yourself or with someone else or with your child and just say, okay, how big is this an issue right now? Is this something that I really need to respond in anger about, or could I respond in a healthier way? Of course, I always go back to I am statements. So someone who's struggling with anger might read through this and go, oh, well, this isn't going to help. Like, it's just words. Well, true. So for anyone who is stuck in a place where they have negative thoughts or negative I am statements, when they switch it to something positive, they're not going to believe it at first. But at some point, you probably also didn't believe the negative I am statements to be true either. So it's all about consistency and repetition. So these are some affirmations you can repeat on a daily basis. I am in control. I'm relaxed, focused. I'm calm, focused, relaxed. I have the power to regulate my emotions, so on and so forth. So you can kind of read through some of those that might be helpful, or you can figure out your own. Another thing to keep in mind is, are you leading by example? So who are the people around you that are seeing your anger? And is that the example that you want to set? So if you're the parent or an adult and you have children there and you're constantly responding in anger, children are going to learn that. It's going to be a learned behavior. They're going to think that that's natural and that's the way that you're supposed to be responding. So making sure that you're leading by a healthy example. Things you can do when you're angry. Okay, so some of these things are things to just avoid. Some of them are healthy things that you can try. So, and I'm not going to read through all of them, but just focusing more on yourself. Number 2, self-care. Of course, I always try to drive that point home. Deep breathing, exercising. I always recommend exercise as a way to release frustration. You can write out your feelings. You can talk about your feelings. Take a walk in nature, so just being outside, being in nature is relaxing. Number 12, let yourself have a good cry. Particularly in men, they try to be really tough, or at least that's what I often see, and they don't allow themselves to cry because they see it as a form of weakness. Once again, we're all human. We all have those emotions, and we're all going to have moments where we cry. And that can be very, to be able to release those emotions. The tears are actually your anger coming out of your body, or allowing that emotion to come out of your body. So recognizing that it's something that you can do for yourself, by yourself. If you don't want to cry in front of someone else, that's fine, but just finding a time where you're allowing yourself to kind of let those emotions go. So being able to just ask for help if you need to explore those things deeper, or if you have a lot of awareness or insight into yourself, you might be able to explore some of that yourself, like where the anger is stemming from, but you might need help processing it. I think the main thing to really take home from today's 5-minute moment is, once again, we all feel anger. It's not about the emotion, but it's what you choose to do once you notice that that emotion is there. So how are you choosing to respond or react? If you take all that energy that you have in that anger and put it towards something productive or useful, that's really the best way that you can do it. So if you're angered by someone who is treating you poorly, you can set those boundaries. You can be assertive. And you can actually go back and listen to some of our other 5-minute mental health moments. We do have one on boundaries from a few weeks ago. And then Amy Allison from St. Luke's had done one on self-esteem and assertiveness. So all these 5-minute mental health videos do connect with each other. I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the other ones. So ask yourself the next time that you're angry, explore, what does it really mean? What's the emotion underneath? How can I process that or gain more insight into that, or awareness into that? And then what do I want to put that anger or that energy from the anger into? Instead of getting angry and responding in an unhealthy way, I'm going to use that time and energy into self-care for myself. I'm going to use that time and energy into setting some healthy boundaries. I'm going to use that time and energy into advocating for our community or volunteering. There's always ways where you can shift that negative energy into something positive. So just kind of think about that. I hope that this was helpful. If you found this helpful, please, share it. Reach out to me if you have any other questions or concerns. And we will be posting some new 30-minute episodes with Community Connection guests next week. So stay tuned for that. One's going to be on positivity and gratitude, and another one is actually going to be on communication, conflict, and behavioral strategies. So for parents that are at home with their kids and kind of struggling, that would be a really good one. And more 5-minute mental health moments are coming up soon. So just a reminder, you're not alone. We're in this together. There's always someone out there willing to listen and to help in any way. Just take it one day at a time, take a deep breath, and reach out if you need anything. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.